Hey guys, good morning. It's Scott from Scott Miller Guitar. Top of the morning, YouTube. Every time, turn on the camera, I start scratching my face. This is me making my rounds. Every single morning I start with Facebook Live. I jump over to Twitter or Periscope and do the same content. It's obviously slightly different. I'm doing it live on each platform. After doing Twitter, I come over to YouTube and then I go to Instagram and I do a 60-second version. And then I write a song, throw it my looper and improvise. So this is my third stop this morning on social media. So good morning, guys. Hey, today we're talking about a very important topic, and it can be quite confusing for a lot of guitar players. We're talking about modes of major pentatonic. We're going to do a lot today. Okay, so I think a lot of guitar teachers perhaps do unwittingly a lot of damage. They're trying to be a great teacher and explain a difficult topic, but I've heard students say they were more confused after having a certain lesson, or they were more confused after reading stuff online. So we're going to break down chords and scales and modes in the major scale and modes in the major pentatonic and everything. So, and I'm doing this off script, so I'm just kind of winging it. So, and it slightly different content on Facebook or on Twitter, and my handle is across social media, just Scott Miller Guitar. So let's talk about this. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about what a mode is. Guys, this is the simplest definition I can give, and I've given students for 26 years. A mode is the exact notes of a scale in a different order. If you have these 5 notes, C, D, E, G, A. So C is mode 1, C, D, E, G, A. Well, guess what? Pattern 2 or mode 2, instead of going C, D, E, G, A, would be D, E, G, A, C. What about E, G, A, C, D? G, A, C, D, E, A, C, D, E, G. It's the same exact notes, different order. It would sound like this. If I did this, oh, sorry. Okay, so a mode is simply that, guys. The exact notes of a scale, different order, different arrangement. Okay, so let's think about this. Let's talk about chords for a minute and scales for a minute. If I wrote on a whiteboard numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and wrote chords above it, and then another column wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and wrote scales above it. Let's find out how many notes are commonly found in chords and how many notes are commonly found in scales. Is that cool? Okay, so question, can one note be a chord? The answer is no. One note is just a note. It doesn't matter how low or high, okay? Sorry, getting messages coming in. I should probably close that out. Okay, back to the topic. One note, guys, cannot be a chord. One note is a note. It doesn't matter if it's a low note or a high note, okay? One note is a note. Okay, two notes. Can two notes be a chord? We commonly say a power chord is a chord. But really, theoretically, two notes is not a chord. Okay, so two notes is an interval, and it doesn't matter if you're talking about, here's an interval, a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth or a six or a seven or flat seven, flat nine. Two notes is an interval. Okay, three notes, guys. Three notes is a chord, and you've heard about a major chord, minor chord, sus2 chord, sus4 chord. Okay? But not any three notes is considered a chord. Or what if I took the notes C, C sharp, and D? That's not a recognized chord, so we don't just randomly grab any three notes. There's commonly accepted chords like major, minor, augmented, diminished, sus4, sus2, things like that. Okay, so, but back to the topic. One note cannot be a chord. Two notes cannot be a chord. Three notes is a chord called a triad. What about four-note chords? They do exist. We have seventh chords, sixth chords, add nine chords, etc. What about five-note chords? Yep. We have ninth chords. What about six-note chords? Those are 11th chords. What about seven-note chords? Those are 13th chords. And then what about eight-note chords? Is there an eight-note chord? Yes, it's called the double diminished. It's a diminished seven mixed with another diminished seven. So here's the thing. No 9, 10, 11, 12-note chords in my opinion. So if you have 1 through 12 on a board, how many notes in chords commonly? Between 3 and 8 notes. A common question is that students will say, well, Scott, I can play a 3-note chord. I can play a 4-note chord. I can play a 5-note chord. I can even play a 6-note chord. But I can't play like a 7 or 8-note chord. What you can do, like I could play a 13th chord, which is a 7-note chord, but I can get the essence of it by playing 4 notes only. So you can play larger chord types from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by just playing 4 notes. I should say you can play the chords those chords containing 5, 6, and 7, 8 notes, you can really get away with just playing 4 notes, which is cool. Okay. So, in my opinion, the gospel according to Scott, chords between 3 and 8 notes, done. Let's move on to scales. Okay, can there be a 1-note scale? No. 1 note is a note, right? Can there be a 2-note scale? No, that's an interval. Can there be a 3-note scale? No, that's a triad. Can there be a 4-note scale? I heard this one author who was talking about this. He called these minor 6 scales. I call that a chord or an arpeggio, which is just a broken chord. So I would say there's no 4-note scales. That's just my opinion. But 5 notes, guys, that's where we get into scales. 5-note scales are called pentatonics. And there's not just major pentatonic or minor pentatonic. There's dominant 9 pentatonic or minor 6 pentatonic. Okay, you got that right? Okay, should have warmed up this morning. I'm trying to do this. Oh my goodness. That's what I was trying to do. Okay, so the minor 6 pentatonic, there's these hybrid pentatonics. What about 6-note scales? There's the blues scale, there's major blues, minor blues, there's the whole tone scale. What about 7-note scales? There's the major scale, the melodic minor, the harmonic minor, and there is an 8-tone scale, the diminished scale. Okay, so to make this very clear, because I'm throwing out a bunch of numbers, I don't want anyone to be confused. Chords, 3 through 8 notes, scales, 5 through 8 notes. Okay. So now let's talk about modes. What is a mode? Is it correct to say a fingering is mode? Sure. But if I'm playing this chord for an hour, of course you would tell me to stop. And if I just played a pentatonic in different positions, in my opinion, a mode is not necessarily just a fingering, it's a change in tonality. So like if I played a C chord for an hour and played the same 5 notes just in different orders, there's no change in tonality. It's the same sound. If I played, let me think of it. So here's what happens. I say to a student, I'm going to play D minor 9, play D Dorian, and they jump up to the 10th fret D and do this. That's not wrong, but guys, D Dorian is nothing more than a C major, the key of C major. So watch this. I'm just playing all of the notes in the key of C on the neck. That is playing in the key of C. Like when I'm jamming a D minor 9 or D minor 11, like this. In one of my half-hour or hour lessons in Salt Lake City, or Skype or Google Hangout lessons, and I say do D Dorian, and it's sad when the student jumps up to the 10th fret. I'm like, why did you not start at the 1st fret? And you can play the whole neck is the key of C, so the whole neck is that. That's a deeper discussion. Like when I teach symmetric scales, like the whole tone scale or the diminished scale, when I do this, I think it's incorrect to say the modes of the diminished scale, the modes of the whole tone, because there's no change in tonality. Those are symmetric. That's different. But let's give you something palatable today. We're talking about the fingerings and the modes of the major pentatonic scale. Okay, so basically a mode is the exact notes of a scale in a different order or arrangement. Okay, so I think we've covered major scale, major pentatonic, modes. Let's leave you with the fingering that you can play today. So here is pattern 1, mode 1 of the major pentatonic scale. You're going to go from the bottom, you're going to do this. We're playing in position, like we talked about. So play from low to high, give me on low 6 string, we have 8, 10. Next is 7, 10. Next is 7, 10. Next is 7, 9. Next is 8, 10. And next is 8, 10. And then we have 10, 8. 10, 8. 9, 7. 10, 7. 10, 7. 10, 8. That's it, guys. So hopefully you understand, in my opinion, a mode is not just a fingering, a shape, a form, a pattern. A mode is really a change in tonality, right? If I did this, C add 9 and do C major, C Ionian mode, C major scale sound. If I did this, E sus4 flat 9, E dominant 7 sus4 flat 9, right? I did the the same scale, C major scale, but now the chord has changed, or change in tonality. So C Ionian sounds nothing like E Phrygian if you play a different chord. If I play a C major chord for an hour and do all the shapes in the major scale, there's no change in tonality. That's it, guys. So enjoy this. Follow me on social media. Scott Miller Guitar on Facebook, Scott Miller GTR on Twitter, Scott Miller Guitar on Instagram. Obviously, YouTube is Scott Miller Guitar. And I'm going to include a link in the description for my course, The 7 Simple Secrets to Learn Any Song by Ear. We'll be announcing our next webinar. Love you guys. Be good. And make today awesome. I mean, there was that one movie, that great movie, Office Space, where everyone's having a case of the Mondays. Don't have a case of the Mondays. Mondays are awesome. So love you guys. Be good. Thanks again for your comments, the like, the shares, the subscribes, everything. You're awesome. So thanks for what you do. Appreciate the support. And guys, we'll see you soon. Be good.